Perfect. So, Kelly, how are you today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, what better way to have an epic day with an epic guest?
Yay! Cool.
Right?
I like being called epic. That's fun.
Right. So, welcome to the show. It is so cool and awesome to have you here. So, before we start, I have to give you an epic welcome. If you have seen some of my episodes before, you know exactly what I'm about to do. If not, that's fine. Let me show you.
What's gonna happen? I was ready though. I was ready.
Super epic. I know this is my favorite part every single time.
I can see why.
Yeah. All right. Now, starting with the whole interview. Now, tell me how your acting career started.
Sure, getting right into it. So I I'm not a trained actor. Surprise. I actually started as a graphic designer.
Okay.
And I was working full-time as a graphic designer at a healthcare advertising agency. Hi, Angelica. Sorry, I'm looking at all the comments.
Perfect.
At a healthcare advertising firm in New York, and I was extremely upset. I was not happy at that job, and I've always wanted to be an actor since as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And I remember being a child and watching TV and just knowing somewhere deep in me that that's what I wanted to do. And people say that's a thing.
Yeah.
But I know I kind of just ignored it, like a lot of people do, about what they actually want to do with their life. It's like, that's not a real job. Nobody actually is successful. Like, I need to go to school, which is what I did. And I had a great time. But I ended up quitting that job as a graphic designer because I was miserable. And I was looking for another job in New York. And in the interim, I took an acting class. I didn't tell anybody. It was very secret. Yeah. And I just wanted to do it for me. And I just wanted to have a good time, see what it was all about, and really express myself emotionally. And that was my first mistake. I loved it so freaking much. To this day, I think about that class because it pretty much changed my life. And at the end of the class, the teacher took me aside and was like, "So, you're taking the next class?" And I was like, I need to get a real job, all that kind of stuff again. And then she said, "You're not like the worst actor in the world. Here's an open call. You can go, you can't, see what happens. I don't know." And I was like, okay, cool. So I basically acted like I was a professional actor. I made a whole resume because I'm a graphic designer, so I'm able to make something look super professional. And I walked in there, I auditioned, and I got signed, which was crazy. Yeah. So crazy. I had no experience at all. I hope they're not watching this because I walked in there like I've been doing this for 10 years. And then I kept working. And the more I worked, the less I would do like design and coding on the side. And now I'm full time. So there you go.
That's an epic story.
Is it? I feel like it's so like weird and random. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and also the reason why is because, whenever you have like this, like whenever you are doing something, if you just don't like it, you just don't like it. It doesn't matter if it is like super well paid or if you have like benefit here and there. If you just don't like it, you will feel just miserable. And it's so interesting that whenever you find that thing that that thing that you want the most just clicks, And
oh, for sure. When you get that feeling like in here, and it's something you can ignore it. Obviously I ignored it for years, but it's hard to continually ignore it.
Exactly. And what were some of the challenges that you had when you were recently started with your acting career?
Great question. I still face challenges every day. This career is not for the faint of heart, for sure. And maybe that's an unpopular opinion because it seems so glamorous. But again, like everyone's life on social media, or even in interviews with other actors and stuff like that, you only see the best of these people. You don't see what goes on behind the scenes, pun intended. When I first started, I think my challenges were a little different than they are now. When I first started, I think being green, aka like not really having a lot of experience, has its advantages in that nobody's really like inundated you with technique to the point where it kind of hinders your performance, right? If somebody's like, oh, put your face that way, no, do this, no, do that, no, you should be like louder, softer, and you're like, and then you just don't do anything. But when you have no idea, you just walk in to be yourself. But that being said, I think I didn't understand a lot about the technique about being on camera. And I look at my old auditions, some of them are so bad, some of them are okay. I think when the character called for it, as you can see, I'm very jerky. I'm very, I move around a lot. I'm very expressive. And sometimes if a character is like that, it plays really well. But I had to learn to tone that down. And that's something that was really hard for me. And I didn't understand until I took a class. I started watching myself back, watching the actors who booked things, comparing, being like, oh, their face moves so much less than mine. So that was definitely a challenge I had. And a challenge I have now, which is a challenge I think every actor has, regardless of status, is tolerating uncertainty. And that is something that I think every human experiences in their life. But this career in particular is a huge trigger. And tolerating instability. And that's something that I've never had to deal with ever in any capacity, really, until deciding to do this full time. And that is so difficult. It is a skill. You have to practice it. Learning to care a lot, but not care so much that it really affects your health. That's something that I tend to struggle with. And I feel like when I talk to other actors, they also do. So, yeah.
Interesting. And in 2018, you were in A Crime to Remember, Evil Lies Here, and The Perfect Murder. Tell me, were those like your first projects, and what are some of the things that you learned from those first experiences?
Yeah, they were. True crime, man. That's like a New York actor rite of passage. I feel like all of those Discovery ID shows, it's so funny because when I'm on set with another New York actor, we like kind of go through all the ones we've been on. And yeah, they were really fun. Those were some of my, who's Lisa? Someone's like, can you send me a kiss, Lisa? I'm not Lisa. Anyway, yeah. Super fun, really great small set. I learned a lot, and just learning how a set works. Because as somebody who literally had no experience, really took one class. It wasn't even on camera. It was like a general acting class. I really didn't understand anything, any of the terminology. What's an AD? What's a PA? Like anything. Like what's a martini shot? It's like, we're drinking on set. Like, what is this? I don't know. So that, I think, was super helpful for me. And it was like a very low pressure, kind of low stakes environment, as opposed to sometimes like if you're filming an episodic or especially a multicam sitcom, it moves so fast. So I feel like if I were thrown into that first, I would have had a meltdown. So I'm happy that happened first. And now I feel like a little more prepared for that kind of thing.
That is so cool. And on your website, going to your film and television section, on your resume, we can see that you have been involved in projects such as The Today Show and JCPenney, Homicide City, Sangre, The Color of Dying, The Violist, Electric Blue, The Pawn Shop, Harlem Town Hall, Modern Love, Unsolved Mysteries Episode 1, and Redemption in Sherry. Tell me, like, what are some of the highlight moments that you had during those projects? And also, what are some of the funniest moments you had as well?
Sure. It's a long list. I've been so lucky to work on so many different types of projects with so many talented people. That's like honestly one of my favorite parts of this business, and something that keeps me in it is the people I meet and the fact that it is such a collaborative effort. And I just love working as a team. and seeing everybody's strengths come together, like as like a machine to create like one product. I think that's so cool. And that's actually one of the reasons why I prefer film and TV over theater.
Yeah.
But in terms of specifically like my film and TV projects, one really cool project I did was Modern Love on Amazon. That was probably one of the most high profile projects I've done to date. And I honestly, I had no idea. It was an Amazon Studios project. It was 2 years ago. I actually filmed on my birthday, so happy birthday to me. I had no idea really about the story. It was all NDAs. Everything was super secretive. I just knew my part.
Yeah.
I had no idea who I was acting with. And at that time, Amazon Studios wasn't like a huge thing. So I was like, oh, like, it'll be fun. Like, it's just another true crime kind of thing, or like commercial, small thing. I walked on set and I was like, oh. I had my own trailer for the first time for that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then when I went to the fitting, I saw Dev Patel there, who was my scene partner for my scenes.
Okay.
And that's why I was like, all right, this is a real thing. But actually working with him in particular was an honor and also so much fun. And yeah, it was the director too. He really let me play around. Actually, all of my lines ended up being cut, so that's fun. Another tolerating uncertainty kind of thing. You never know, even when you do the job, if it's gonna air. But yeah, it was mostly improv based, so I got to know Dev a little bit, and such a sweet guy. And just seeing how he works too, how composed and humble he was on set was really inspiring to me. Somebody like an Oscar-nominated actor, I mean, come on. Like, I expected him to walk on and be like, get me a coffee. Not at all. And what else? I filmed something for Netflix, Unsolved Mysteries. That's a perfect example, actually, of something being cut, because my entire role, I was on set for multiple days, for 10 hours a day. Wow. It was a period piece. The production was like, we had a period car that was like elevated, huge lights. We were filming daytime at night. It was a production. Everything was cut because it's that Netflix money, so they could just cut whatever they want.
Totally.
So it never saw the light of day, and I remember waiting for it to come out, and it just never did. But that was such a cool experience as well. And it really got to show me what I was capable of in terms of like creating a character and like being able to work those hours as a different character. So
that's awesome. And what are some of the things or techniques that you usually do in order to prepare a character?
It depends on the project, like heavily. It depends, first, what type of project it is. Is it a commercial, film, episodic, comedy, drama, short film? And then in terms of like film and TV, which is primarily what I want to focus on, I think it also depends on the size of the role. Yeah. If you're a day player and you're a girl at a smoothie shop, which was my most recent role, just 1-2 scenes, you don't necessarily have to know this entire person's life story. But I think it is super helpful to be as specific as possible in terms of what happened right before your moment, right after your moment, and a week before, a week after, depending on like the context of the scene.
Okay.
I think knowing details about who this person is and why they are that way in terms of their history, their past, that's extremely helpful, and it comes across on screen as very authentic. What else? I mean, in terms of creating a character from scratch, and like you're a series regular, when I've gotten auditions for that kind of stuff, you are going back to when that person was born to now, to what are their hopes and aspirations for the future. Because as humans, we live an entire life, and that's what we want to see on screen. We want to see somebody who's lived a life and is going to continue to live a life after we see them. And it's just, what you're seeing is a snapshot of that person's life. It's not like an isolated incident where you're in like a box and the only reason you are alive is to go give your husband a cup of coffee in that scene. Like, that doesn't seem real, doesn't seem authentic, and you're just kind of like, it's uncomfortable to watch, and that it comes across when you're watching something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can totally agree on that. But we will see, like, in some, we sometimes will have like this character in which we don't know anything about it, but there is something about it that you just can feel kind of relatable to it. You know what I mean? And it just feels kind of like a cardboard character. And at the end of the day, like, what happens to that character, you just don't care. You're like, oh well, you know.
Exactly. You're not invested because you're like, that's not a real person. It's like a caricature of a human being, you know. And sometimes in comedies, that's actually hilarious if someone's like super one-dimensional, but that's like kind of on purpose, right? But in terms of like, especially a drama, like, there's subtle ways you can tell when somebody says something a certain way, the decision the actor made about who that person is. Like, when they talk to a certain kind of person, they might be a little more standoffish. And like, it's very subtle, but you can tell, because as humans, we talk to people all the time. We can tell.
Yeah, totally that. And yeah, I mean, like, the whole creating a character, I mean, it's a whole different process that from what some people might think that it's just learning your lines, do some little research here and there, and you're good to go. You know what I mean? The fact that you take this totally different process here, and trying to make relatable. I think at the end of the day, as the audience, we do appreciate that whenever we care about this character, even if it is a villain or not, we just care about it, you know. And also it is funny because sometimes also with the villain, it makes you wonder, like, am I a bad person, or why do I feel, you know, like I care about this character regardless if it is a villain or not. So
for sure, I mean, that's what makes something interesting. A character who I really love, who, when you're talking about that, it reminds me of this, Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like, I feel like everyone was cheering for him at the end, but he did some messed up stuff at the beginning, and he seemed pretty one-dimensional, but his character arc, there were little subtle moments when you could tell, like, he's just really conflicted, and that's something we find really interesting. There's this quote I really like about acting. I'm gonna totally butcher it, so sorry whoever said this, but it's something along the lines of, the job of an actor isn't to solve the problem, it's to show the process of dealing with it and trying to solve it. So that's what we're watching. We're watching somebody struggle. We're not watching them solve it. And that's something, when I first started too, I was kind of like not comfortable living in that space where this character wasn't sure, because then it felt like I wasn't sure. But that's what we want to see. That's what's exciting, and that's what's like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like, they're thinking, they don't know what they're gonna do, and then usually the end of the movie is when they make a decision. So
yeah, totally, yeah. And you know what? Like, definitely, Game of Thrones was a show that played with my feelings all the time. From all the
characters.
There was a moment in which I was like, I'm not gonna care about any character anymore. I just don't. So whatever happens,
I actually cannot deal with this.
Yeah, I just can't hold it anymore. I'm fine. So whatever happens, that's it, you know.
For sure.
But it's so cool whenever that happens, because it makes you feel, because it kind of connects you with the show, you know, and you kind of feel that you're kind of part of this world too, and just kind of so like immersed to it. So that is super cool. And I think that whenever a show or a movie gets the chance to do that, they will be remembered like forever and ever and ever. You know what I mean? Like
and those characters too. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Or Breaking Bad, you know, like all of those type of shows that you remember those characters. And like if you hear like a quote or something, instantly your brain is like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. You know?
Yeah, for sure, because they're interesting. You know, then you can relate because they're struggling, and we all struggle. So
totally. And what do you like the most about playing a character? Like in general?
Yeah, it's basically asking me what I like most about acting. I love showing myself and showing other people that it's okay and actually good to show emotions and to have emotions and to express them healthily, and that it's a very human experience. And I think that's the job of one of the primary jobs of media and entertainment in general, is to show people that their emotions are normal to an extent, and that we shouldn't be shamed for having them, and we shouldn't try to pretend like they don't exist. And that's kind of goes back to that piece about being a relatable person, and that's why people love relatable characters, because it allows them to feel those feelings. And I think now in society we're making a move towards like mental health, emotional health, like saying that emotions are a real thing that have both mental, physical, and obviously emotional effects on human beings. But for a long time, especially like my parents' generation, their parents' generation, you weren't allowed.
Yeah,
and
totally.
people went to the movies and they like really got invested in these characters because those people were allowed. And they're like, oh my gosh, like that's me, but I'm not gonna say anything. But that's what I really loved about it, and that's what I really loved about being in that acting class, was that I was told by people that I was supposed to cry. Like, you need to cry in this scene. I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, please. Like, that's, and then they're like, yay. And I'm like, wait, yay. You know what I mean? And that's so rare. That's so rare in any kind of career. And that's why I feel like I don't picture myself doing anything else at this point. So.
Yeah. And also, plus, you get the chance to do cool stuff.
Yeah. For sure.
That's
definitely another cool thing about it. Yeah, I've done some pretty cool stuff. Traveled a lot.
You have the chance to do cool stuff, so that's fine. I remember in one of my interviews there was this actor who told me that they get the chance to blow up cars sometimes, or like do action scenes like fighting with swords, stuff like that, and that's cool. Yeah,
just being in experiences that you might not experience in your life. You can experience it through somebody else's. That's also
totally
really fun.
But I do agree also that we are getting into this thing in which we do care more about our emotions, as back in the day, like with grandparents or something. If you were showing emotions, instantly you were getting like a correction, or they were like trying to prevent you to do that. Like no, like don't do it,
Don't cry.
Yeah. And now we see like this whole kind like this whole era in which it's okay to do it and it's fine. I mean, it's just, I think it's what makes us human at the end of the day,
And how you express them is what makes you part of what makes you.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. And like, what would you say it's an important aspect for playing a character?
What? Oh, the important aspect you said? This is probably going to seem like a very generic answer, but it's just true. Authenticity. I think it's actually twofold. I think the most important part is authenticity. Yeah. Because if you don't have that, what are we doing here? Like, you're not like, you're just like a cardboard character. I like that terminology. Yeah. And then the second, I would say, is what's your job? Because you're there to service that project in some capacity. And of course, you're an artist and you're fulfilling yourself in some way, but like, it's not a one-man show. You're not like in a comedy show. You're not seeking the approval of anyone. You're trying to, at least some of the best actors I know, this is how they operate. They are servicing whatever that project is. If you are the girl handing the main character that smoothie, you're not like having your own emotional breakdown necessarily, unless that's gonna show how the main character is such a kind, caring person who's gonna comfort you. You know what I mean? And then that's gonna frame that person to be set up to be like fucked over later. You know what I mean? It's like a chain of events, and that's why it's also so important to know context and to get as much material as you can about a project, even if it's just one scene. So that, in addition to really having real emotions and being a human being with a story and a past and a future.
There you go. Now, moving on with your resume, let's talk about your music video new media section. So you were in Dylan Owen Break Some Eyes, Austin Marola Miracles, Velvet Negroni First Time, Windswept Trailer, Capstan, Hideaway, 100 Years of Lipstick and Updos, and 100 Years of Sport Bras, and Hairstyles. I mean, the list goes on and on, but tell me, like, what are some of the best moments also that you had during those projects?
Sure. I love music videos. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
And since there are usually no lines, obviously, I feel like some of those sets are some of the closest sets in terms of like everyone like really working together and getting along.
Yeah.
Because you're not like a lot of goofing around, a lot of like how it's just like a really fun experience. And of course, when there's music involved, it's just more fun, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of specifics, I really like the Capstan video that I actually filmed that during quarantine.
Okay.
The whole audition process was on Zoom, and we filmed in the forest in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. And since it was actually a perfect kind of concept for a quarantine video, because it was a girl who was alone in a forest, like lost, and then some random entity comes and whatever, but you never see that first. So it was basically all me, which was really fun. I got to have some fake cuts and bruises. I did my own stunts for that. I fell off a bike. I climbed a tree. I ate a fish. I hate fish. Okay, it was basically raw. So much fun.
Yeah.
I actually did a mariachi music video one time. Those were so much fun. Multiple days on a farm. The lipstick and updos was for Cosmo, so I got to go. I think it was Allure. Sorry. But I went into their offices, which were beautiful downtown, and I got to see the whole production studio there, where they shoot their covers. Some incredible, because that was like kind of like a period thing where they went through decades. So those makeup and hair people and being completely transformed was so much fun. I've done the Windswept trailer. That was really fun. That was a period piece about a World War I nurse. I need to post this stuff, honestly. I don't post like my acting work. I should, but for some reason I just don't. I think it's like very like personal to me, so I just kind of leave it, but I should. What else? Oh, Miracles, Christmas music video. That was so fun. So sweet. That was my first on-screen kiss, so that was interesting. Yeah, I love it. It's so much fun.
So cool. And how you usually get ready before shooting a scene, either for film, TV show, or music video? Do you have like a, let's say like a ritual, or like something that you always do before, or like what is your process?
Again, I keep repeating this, so I'm sorry, but it definitely depends on the project. For a commercial, like for example, I recently shot a commercial that had 10 single-spaced pages of dialogue.
What?
It was like
10?
10. So that preparation process is a lot different than when I'm going to model like for a hair product. I just show up and I make sure like I wash my hair, that's all I care about. And there's certain usually wardrobe and logistics that like, oh, bring this color bra, bring this color shirt just in case. But yeah, it really depends. But usually commercials are a lot less preparation than obviously film and TV. But there's still, depending on the project, some sort of character work. But a lot of commercials is how you're interacting as well. Same with film and TV though, with the other actor. But yeah, it's not too crazy. And that's kind of why I prefer film and TV, because I kind of like the work that goes into that. But also commercials are so much fun. So.
Yeah. And talking about commercials, so you have done some commercials from Nissan, ESPN, and Marriott Hotels, Captain Morgan, Britney Spears promo, NBC College Football, and again, the list goes on and on. But tell me, like, what do you like the most about commercials? And so what do you like the most about it?
what do I like most about commercials? The people, for sure. The people that I meet. Not everyone, obviously, but a lot of the people I've met on sets, like, I feel like I immediately connect with because we're in such a similar place in life, and we have such similar goals. And when you're all, again, focused on one goal, which is creating this commercial, and you see all of the moving parts and everyone does their part and it all comes together and you watch it, and then the actor is just one small part of it. They just happen to be the person who's on the screen. You know what I mean? And that, I just love that. I love that. I love working in a team. I always have. And I love seeing people's strengths, and I love bringing what I can to the table to help. I love helping people. I love making everyone else's job as easy as possible. And it's just hilarious a lot of the time, because some of the stuff you're doing in these commercials, like, it's kind of ridiculous, but then it ends up looking great. So, that's people.
And do they also give you the chance sometimes to do like a little improv?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A lot of commercials is heavily improv based, and I love improv. It is. I often prefer it over scripted, depending on the script, though, because that's, in my opinion, some of the most intense character work is when it's all improv based, because you are just that person. You don't have the words to fall back on. Like, you have all of this work that you did, like the past, the present, the future, their point of view, their family, like all that kind of stuff, and then you just are put in the scene and you're like, go, be. And I just love it, because then also you're so invested in whoever you're working with, and that's like that connection piece. That's so much fun.
Totally. Wow. And what advice could you give to for those who recently started acting?
A lot. Things I wish that I knew. I would tell them, number one, decide what role, pun intended, you want acting to play in your life. I think just because you love acting doesn't mean it has to be your job. And I would hate to see somebody who really loves it get so jaded, which is so easy to do in this business, that they end up really just not liking it anymore. It's a lot. The business side and the art side are so different, and if you don't feel like you have almost, I don't want to say obsession, but I kind of want to say obsession with that other side, like, you can get lucky, but that's not the norm. It is 24/7, at least in my experience, a grind. And I would also say to release any expectations you have, good or bad, because you have such little control over what happens once you present yourself. And if you're also not confident and secure in who you are, ironically, it's going to be a lot harder to not only persist through adversity in this business, but also I think create characters. And that's something that I learned the hard way. When I started in this business, I was not as confident in who I was as I am now, and I found it a lot harder to just act, because they would say, what can you bring to the table? And I would be like, I don't know. But now I'm like, oh, this is who I am. This is what I can bring to this character. This is why these people should choose me to play this person. Like, this is what makes my interpretation of this material unique. And if you decide you want to go for it,
there you go. Preach.
Go for it, man.
There you
only
go.
live once, right? But also maybe get a therapist. I don't know. Just saying. Could help.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
If you could describe your career at the moment, or a movie, TV show, or even a book, why not? What would be the title of it?
Work in progress, maybe.
Okay. And
yeah.
Would it be like a movie or TV show or a book?
Any. I think that's something I really love also about this business, is I'm constantly learning and improving. And I think we're always all works in progress, of course. But especially recently in my career, I feel like I'm at a crossroads. And I'm starting to make more intentional decisions about things and where I want my career to go. And it really feels like I'm like a work in progress. Like I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it for sure.
Okay. So, for example, would be also something like the calm before the storm, but in a good way, of course.
Oh, I was like, you think there's gonna be a storm in my life? What's going on? Explain, please.
Yeah.
Warn me.
Something like that, or
Yeah, no, I don't. I think I'm just I'm a work in progress. Yeah, I don't know if there would be any other title, or maybe just like like for my career at this moment, like crossroads, or like two roads diverge in a yellow wood. That kind of thing.
Okay. Also describe your career, but in a drink. Which one?
Drink?
Yeah, a drink. Which
one?
one?
That's fun.
Which one would you choose?
Are we? Is it an alcoholic drink or any drink?
Anything.
I have a good one.
Okay.
I have a good one. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay. A Long Island iced tea, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna take a sip for a second.
Yeah.
Because one, it's seemingly unassuming, but it is very strong, and you get a bang for your buck.
Okay.
When I entered this business, I was like, and I was like, whoa, like that is a lot of something. And there's so many different forces in there, types of alcohol, and they're all strong in their own way, and they all seem to come together to make something that still tastes good.
Yeah.
Like it's very intense, but it tastes so good, and you always want another one. So that's kind of how my career is. I feel like it's very intense, high highs, low lows. But I keep coming back for more, and I really love it.
There you go. That's cool.
Yeah, right? That was a good answer.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. So I mean, I think for those who are watching this now or later, whenever they will ask like a Long Island tea, instantly they will remember like, oh yeah, you know? Yeah. Perfect. And tell me, like, what motivates you, or like what motivates you to continue pursuing your your career? Because I think it happens to everybody, right? That sometimes you will feel, you will question yourself. You know, you will be thinking like, oh, am I good enough? Or you start to compare with others, and you're like, this person is doing better than me, and blah blah blah. So like, what puts you into this moment in which you're like, screw it, I'm just gonna do my thing. I love what I do, and basically, I don't care what everybody would say or think. I'm just doing it, and yeah, you just continue to do it. So like, what gets you back up every day whenever you feel whenever you feel bad?
Yeah, that's like that hits me, that question for sure, because it's such a struggle. And any other actor watching this will understand the deep sigh after you said the question. I think questioning yourself is part of the process. It's part of what this career is. I think anybody really in any career at one point will question whether it's right. But what makes me keep coming back is every time I try or think about doing something else, it always comes back to this. And I feel like I can't escape it in a good way.
Okay.
And that I'm almost like addicted to it. I love it. And when I get on set and I have a day on set where I am a character, I am leading that scene, or I'm like one of the main players in that story or in that project, I am so fulfilled at the end of that day, and I feel so human, and so like grounded, and like I just get that feeling where I'm like, I can't believe I just got paid to do that. Like, it felt like therapy. It felt like playing around with friends. It felt like going on vacation. It felt like I just like solved some mystery, and it also just felt like that's where I'm supposed to be. So, and I feel like every time I try to like think about doing something else, like a project comes up, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing this now. So yeah, I just love it. I love it. And I think if you don't, and there's any part of you that's like, oh, like, I like it, but not really, like, unless you get really lucky, which has happened, it's going to be really rough for you. To be very blunt, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going through that roller coaster.
Yeah, totally. And you know, it's so, I mean, at the end of the day, you should do what makes you happy. You know, it doesn't matter like it doesn't matter like how ridiculous for some people might be. If it is what you love, you just go ahead and do it. Because I mean, we all have friends, family members also that they wanted to do something else, but they went to the safe, you know what I mean, to like to a safe career, and yeah, maybe at the end of the day they ended up having money, but they feel miserable, you know. And we all have this typical family member that is super angry all the time, but maybe and then when
everyone watching knows who that is for them.
Yeah. And then when you ask somebody and they were like, yeah, this guy wanted to do, I don't know, he wanted to be an actor, but he chose to be an engineer, and yeah, he has like a lot of money, but you would see like all this anger from that person that because at some point, I mean, we are gonna be 70, 80 or 90, and then what did you do with your life? You know what I mean? I mean, what is gonna be like the message you're gonna say to yourself? Like, did I live my life the way I wanted, or I just wasted like a long time of
regrets?
Yeah, because it is awful, and I've been there too with, you know, having this typical office job and everything. They pay you well, but you just feel miserable. You hate it. I mean, it doesn't matter like how much benefits or prize or things it will give you. If you just don't like it, you just don't like it. And it's so interesting that life sometimes life puts you in a position in which you're like, okay, you definitely need to choose what you love. If you don't want this, that's fine, but start to do something, you know, like and also like another thing here, if you want to be an actor, musician, whatever, you just also need to put like a lot of heart and work into it, you know, because I think also for a lot of people would be like, oh, I want to be an actor, as you said, because it's cool and everything, yeah, but there's gonna be a lot of moments, like a lot of rejections. There was this interview in which they were telling me that actors do auditions for living, basically, you know, because there's like a lot of auditions you need to do. Yeah,
that's what you're doing. You're a professional auditioner, and like you said, you don't want to not try. If you have that strong of a calling towards something, I think there's always a way to make it work. And I think there is something to be said about having a standard of living. Of course, you need to eat, you need to live, you need to clothe. There's like, you need money.
Exactly.
But there's a way to pursue things. Again, even if like you say like, oh, I want to be a musician or an actor, like you can have your job and then after work, do an hour and make a video, play your guitar, make your, you know what I mean? Like join the theater like on the weekends near your house and act and like see where it goes. You don't have to like completely change your life, and that's something that I think is also a big misconception, and something that can really make people jaded if they jump like that. Some people do, and it works for them, but like just like you said, do what makes you happy. And if like having money makes you happy, do it. As long as you're not hurting anybody, who cares? Like it's okay too if having a coffee shop makes you happy. That makes you happy.
Totally.
Like, it's not for me, but like maybe in the future it will be. I don't know. I have no idea. Just all I know is right now, this is what I want to do, and like right now, this is what you want to do. So we're just doing what we like, and maybe it'll change if it won't.
Yeah, totally. You know, the other day I was with my brother, and we were like just having fun, and then at some point he was telling me like, hey, do you know that if I die tomorrow, I want to tell you something. I was like, why the conversation went so dark? But okay, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, I want you to know that I lived my life the way that I wanted. I mean, I have done like so many dumb things, and I have traveled so many places, and I have done like a lot of mistakes, but I love it, you know. And I know right now that if my life it's gone, I can say that I lived the way that I wanted, and that basically hit me because I was like, wait a minute, yeah, I mean, why not? Like, you never know, so why not enjoying every second of it? You know, there's this. At the end of the day,
Yeah. All good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Perfect.
good.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I do believe that what's important in life is just be happy, enjoy every second of it. Of course, that there are moments which you're gonna feel angry or bad moments, but that's just part of life, you know. Because I do think also that whenever something happens, you start to feel you will this question will come and be like, how can I enjoy this moment? And yeah, but that's just life, you know, at the end of the day. So
Yeah, for sure. And if you didn't have those moments where things weren't all sunshine and rainbows, then you wouldn't really have any basis of comparison for when it's so good. You know what I mean? If it's all good, then it's just, again, like a cardboard character. It's just one thing.
Cardboard life.
Cardboard life. That's it. Hashtag cardboard life.
Yeah, love it. And my last question here, Kelly, is what can we expect from you in the future?
If you know, you should tell me, because I have no idea. Well, right now, like I said, I'm kind of at that crossroads in my career. And I've been so heavily involved in commercials for a very long time. Well, not very long, but long for me. And more modeling as well. And I'm a human. I only have a certain amount of time. I've done film and television, but that's why I got into this industry in the first place. That's what I want to do. And I'm learning to make conscious decisions to move myself towards my goals, as opposed to just kind of taking everything that's been thrown at me, which at first I think is okay when you're first starting, because like, of course, like, let's work. I just want to work. But I'm at a point now where I'm like ready to really focus. So I think a lot more film and television projects for sure. I hope that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm super sure that at some point we're gonna see you everywhere.
Aw, that's so nice. Yeah. Thanks.
In magazines, TV shows, commercials, everywhere. I mean, even if you're on the highway and then you will see like this huge sign, it's gonna be you there too. Sure.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I just wanna. I would love to be in period drama. Like, I've been in some, but be a series regular in a period piece. That is my dream thing in this career. It's what I want to do, and I'm really trying to make conscious choices to move me in that direction. And I'm likely going to join the union very imminently.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Should help.
So as I said before, I'm super sure that we will see you everywhere at some point. I mean, HBO. Make sure if HBO at some point is watching this, you know who to call, or Netflix or something like that, you know who to call. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Your career is so badass. It's super cool. The fact that you went from this job and be like, I don't like it at all, and you started this new career with acting, and you found your passion on it. That's super cool, and that is super inspiring for those who are not sure if they should make that step or not. You basically the living proof that you can make that step, and it's fine. It's okay. Of course that there's a lot of hard work on it, but if you manage to do it, you'll be fine, you know? And that is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, anybody who feels like they have a similar calling, I encourage you to try it out. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, go for it.
There you go. And you know, if somebody would ask me like, what do I think about your career, I would only say this. For sure.
Thank you.
And again, Kelly, I mean, as I said, I can't wait to see more of your awesome work in the future. I'm super sure we will see you in these huge franchises, TV shows, films, super sure of it. And also, I want to thank those who are watching. If you're watching this later on YouTube or listening to it later on the podcast, make sure that you follow with Kelly on all the social media. Normally, what I would say is for you to put pause, leave a like and subscribe super quick. And then
subscribe.
There you go. And then go follow Kelly, leave a million likes, share content, spread the word. I mean, let the world know we have this amazing, talented actress, and then come back. And again, Kelly, thank you so much. Before I send you off, I need to send you off in a proper way. So, Kelly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was so fun. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Keep having an amazing rest of the day, an amazing upcoming weekend, amazing upcoming week after the weekend, and nothing but amazing stuff because you totally deserve all of it. So,
You too, of course. Yes, please.
All right. Have a good one, okay?
You too.
Bye.
Bye.